I was interested to know what is the real cost of war. We have to do something different. We don't have recreation centers. We don't have adequate health care. We don't have, enough for the youth and the poor and food and, pricing, everything, gas, everything now is well above most of America's means. So we can't live comfortable. I know we're saying this may just be for a little small period of time, but it seems like every time we say that when it comes to war, the time gets extended longer and longer and longer. The price for war has made the deficit balloon over the last 30 years. So I just wanted to give you an in depth look at what it costs you. You're watching, you pay taxes, you're paying for it. World War I lasted just over 4 years, beginning on July 28, 1914, and ending on November 11, 1918. The conflict spanned 4 years, 3 months, and 2 weeks. World War I cost the United States approximately $32 billion to 35.5 billion. So that was in 1917 and 1919. When adjusted for the inflation to 2024, 2026, this amount estimates roughly to about 440 billion our time to over 500. We didn't join that war until 1917. So the war started in 1914. World War II lasted for 6 years. Last time was 4 years. This time is 6 years and one day. Starting on September the 1st, 1939, ending in 1945. World War II cost the United States an estimated 341 billion to 350 billion. Today, that would be 4 trillion to 5.7 trillion in today's money. How did we fare? Now, in the last war, we didn't join until 1917 and started in 1914, and we won the war after all of what is now known as NATO pretty much exhausted, all their means, and we came in on the last leg of it to help win the war. We dropped a nuclear bomb in World War II. So it wasn't for the fact of the superior weapons of the ground and air and planes and tactics and strategy. We dropped a bomb, killed millions of people. $341 billion in that time. That would be 5.7 trillion in today's time, making it the most expensive war in American history. We won. The Vietnam War lasted for nearly 20 years, starting on November 1st, 1955, and ending with the fall of Saigon on April 30th in 1975. I was 5 years old when it ended. Wasn't even born when it started. 19 years, 5 months. When including the indirect costs such as interest on debt, specialized veterans benefits, and related economic impacts, the total economic burden is estimated to exceed $1.5 trillion. And basically, we lost because we didn't achieve our objectives. I want you to keep in mind throughout this short video who made money. Who made money? Somebody had to make money. Bombs kept coming, and artillery kept coming, bodies kept coming. Got to pay for them bodies, got to pay for that fuel. Got to pay for that military thing. So who made money? The war in Afghanistan lasted for 20 years, starting in October 2001 and concluding with the final withdrawal of the U.S. forces on August 30th, 2021. My kid became an adult during the entire war. The war in Afghanistan cost the United States an estimated 2.3 trillion over 20 years, according to the cost of war project at Brown University. This total includes direct military operating costs, reconstruction funds, and the interest on money borrowed to finance the war. And we lost that war too. Left millions in equipment there, hightailed it out of there after 20 years. Who made money? I had to pay for that for 20 years. Somebody had to get a check. We know the soldiers get a check. We know they had guns. We know they had clothes. You didn't get the money because you was the one paying for it. Who made the money for 20 years? Think about that. Generally viewed as a military victory, but a strategic and political failure. Don't that sound familiar for right now? Aren't we achieving military victory by blowing up everything in Iran right now? Aren't we? But a political failure because your gas is still high. Your beef is still high. We have no peace here in the streets. Plenty of money for ICE, apparently. They ain't went without a check. They still begging for more, just like the military is begging for another $1.5 trillion to fund this soon to be forever war, in my opinion. The US led coalition successfully achieved its initial immediate goal of toppling Saddam Hussein's government in 2003. And the reason we achieved that is because for many, many years, we were best buddies with Saddam. We sold him all his stuff. That's what we do. We sell arms. And we knew everything about Saddam, everything about his regime, because we were once this close, just like with Iran. Oh, y'all didn't know that? Y'all didn't know that the Middle East CIA headquarters used to be in Iran before we flipped on them? And I say we flipped on them because they stopped taking our deals for oil and said, wait a minute, y'all robbing us? Isn't that what always happens? Isn't that what happened with Saddam? So Hussein got toppled in 2003, but failed to establish a stable, peaceful democracy in the subsequent years, leading to the prolonged and costly war. See, that's what our objective was. Ain't that what we trying to do now? Ain't that exactly what we trying to do again? Isn't that what we tried to do in Afghanistan? Isn't that what we tried to do in Vietnam? But somebody got paid. Somebody got paid for the Afghan war. I wonder who it was, because we just got taxed. I remember that. I know that we still owe 32 trillion in debt because of these wars. There's a few other things, but the biggest thing is a war. That's the biggest debt. Every single time. I remember when I was first paying attention to politics back in the early 80s, the deficit was only 4 trillion. Now we're at 30 trillion. Is this working? Is this type of, or peace through power, does that really work for you? Is it working? When we first went in, the initial estimates that Bush administration initially suggested was the war of money comes around, and I don't know, we're gonna go and smash everything. Probably 50 to 60 billion. That's what they said. A few years later, 800 billion. And we didn't achieve our objective. There were no weapons of mass destruction. There was no mass destruction. There wasn't no chemical weapons. We didn't find anything of the nature. And we just said, oh, they must have hit it real good. But I know somebody hid some of that money real good too. Because every time we have a war, and at the end of the war, when it comes to account for the money spent, trillions come up missing. Just like right now. 3 trillion missing right now. That's what they say. That's what they say. They can account for $3 trillion right now. Right now. The Iraq War, 2003 to 2011. This is the short wars. I'm just, you know, want to mention them because I know somebody gonna say something in the comments about it. That cost the U.S. an estimated 2 trillion to over 3 trillion in direct military spending and long-term expenses. See, as time went on, we added more benefits on for the veterans. That's why in the early days they didn't have as much as they have now. We got more for them. I mean, yeah, Trump did cut back with that Doge on the veterans, assistance and stuff like that. But we still got to pay them for their injuries. We got to pay them for all the chemicals they're exposed to. So that goes on and on and on for years. Meanwhile, Trump trying to cut it out. Yeah. So, including future health care for veterans and interest on debts, studies, project, the ultimate cost, often highlighted by the Watson Institute, the research. From 2003 to 2011, 2 to 3 trillion. That's a short war. 2003 to 2011. I want you to listen to how many countries came together in the United Nations. This was to fight the Korean War. Now, you don't know what the Korean War, because I know history kind of messed up right now in the school. They don't want to teach you all this bad stuff that I'm springing on you. They want to make like we the top dogs in the world when it comes to war. The United Kingdom, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Colombia, Ethiopia, France, Greece, Luxembourg, Netherlands, New Zealand, Philippines, South Africa, Thailand, Turkey. All of those nations came together to fight the Korean War that lasted for 3 years. Who were all them nations fighting, including us? I did not say the United States. That was about 16 different nations came together, United Nations, to fight the Cold Korean War. That's North Korea and South Korea at the time now. And who were their backing? China and Russia. So all these nations were fighting China, Russia, and Korea, North Korea. So the Korean War lasted for 3 years, 1 month, 2 days, beginning on June 25th, 1950, and ending on July 27th, 1953. It was a major Cold War conflict involving North Korea, China, and the Soviet Union against South Korea and the United Nations. Roughly 3 years of intense fighting resulted in a military stalemate. Nobody won that war, just a new border, basically. Since World War I, starting in 1917, the U.S., over 600,000 U.S. service members have been lost in combat and non hostile deaths during major conflicts today. With the total American death since 1775, since the country was created. And these not talking about our enemies, which would be like French, British, the Native Americans. Not talking about them. They don't count them. They don't count them. We, the settlers, all the way up to nowadays, exceeded 1.5 3 million deaths due to wars. What's that valued at? How much were each life worth? They don't give a dollar amount for that. But that cost you. These are your mothers, your fathers, your daughters, your grandparents, your great great grandparents dead because of these wars. Now, I know, wars have to be fought and things like that. But I think that in this day and age, we need to find a better way. We need to be more diplomatic. Power through peace never works. All them people we rounded up from the Taliban and the ISIS and we kept locked up for over 20 years, they begging to get revenge. Begging to get revenge right now. And as Pete Hegseth sits on the center stage and says, oh, we're going to kick them when they're down, let's pray that doesn't come around to us with karma. We need to find a better way. I'm just giving you the facts that they don't talk about. You don't hear this. You can Google it. I guarantee you all my facts are correct. I might mispronounce words, but my facts are correct.
Now look at what's happening with Iran. At the beginning, the expectation was familiar. This would be quick, controlled, and relatively inexpensive. But within just the first few days, the Pentagon reported costs of $11.3 billion. That number sounds massive, but here's the catch. It is not the real number. Let's break it down in simple terms. Right now, this war is costing around $11,574 every second. That's over $41 million every hour and roughly $1 billion every single day. By day 46, the total crossed 51 billion.
As you can see, during the Iraqi war, the U.S. debt, the U.S. public debt was $4 trillion. Now it's 31 trillion. By the end of this year, it's estimated to be 33 trillion to 35 trillion. I make these videos so people can be aware. To be aware is to make better decisions. So when you're voting next time, I mostly make these for my children because they're all grown now and of age to vote. So I try and make these videos for these kids. I just happen to pick up people along the way, and I greatly appreciate you all. You know what I'm saying? Hit a like button or whatever you want to do. I don't make any money doing this. Like I said, I started this for my kids. So if I can help somebody else understand some things with facts, so be it. But please vote for the future. Vote for your children. Vote for freedom and equality. I'm just saying.